report as being agreed. There is already a motion to report.
And I'll second it, Mr. Chairman, as being a good support of
Unless
the work done in
there's
session.
anyone wants to screw it up.
No, sorry. I had an additional amendment to make to define unintended death, but after my conversation with the state police, which made it clear this doesn't apply to murders, and I think it's kind of important that definition be included. So, because the way the bill is presently postured, an unintended death could constitute a murder after the investigation's closed. And so I wanted to just make it clear an unintended death is only a suicide, accidental death, or what's the other one? Or a natural death.
This issue was not raised in the second.
No, it was an issue
All right,
that.
okay. All right. So you're making the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second motion.
Amigo has the.
All in favor? Okay, we're good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is essentially the same amendment, but what's being added is following. Unattended death means a death determined to be a suicide, accidental, or natural death where law enforcement has determined no criminal charges will be initiated.
Is there a motion and a second to adopt that amendment? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question to the patron? Does that add sufficient time between the death to allow an investigation that now would make the state police comfortable? Does that resolve their issue? It does not resolve their issue?
No, their concern is that they might come in and look at something, conclude it was a suicide, or conclude it was an accidental or a natural death, and then maybe like a year
Later
or two,
evidence.
5 years later, they find out it wasn't, and that's what they're worried about.
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Chair, if I may. But as a practical matter, wouldn't you already, isn't it the case that, as Senator Evan mentioned, that the immediate family would, as a practical matter, be notified under the current process now? What has happened as the course of the death?
No, under current law, it's up to the police department as to whether or not to release these records or not. It's completely discretionary. There's been a case in the Supreme Court, actually, one case in the Supreme Court of Virginia where they refused to release a suicide note at Loudoun County. That was the 2015 opinion. There's also a case that was in the papers a lot out of Virginia Beach where a family wanted to get the records so they could have somebody else look at it, and the police department would turn it
Okay.
over. And so.
Okay, thank you.
Keaton Cook, Department of State Police. Mr. Chairman, the department's concern with this bill is that the status of a closed investigation is not one that could ever be determined for all of the future. The department is specifically concerned about cases where it might have initially been determined or believed that the death was as a result of a suicide, but later information might be developed suggesting that that suicide was staged, and that in fact we're dealing with a homicide. Staging of suicides is something that when it does occur, it is almost always and almost necessarily by the hand of somebody who is a very close family member, and they're trying to conceal their association with that death. So as a result, the department's concern is that we would be in a position of, by virtue of having been wrong in an initial determination, we would have to turn over very sensitive investigative information about that case, essentially handing it to somebody who would later be determined to be a suspect.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir. What happens right now, I know that in my own family there was, well, not a suicide, an unintended death, and we got the autopsy. Is this part of the autopsy we're talking about?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Evan, my understanding is that the medical examiner's office has separate procedures for release of autopsy reports to family members. I'm speaking to the department's concern about release of our actual investigative file, which would typically contain a lot of information other than what's in that autopsy report. Things such as witness statements and evidence that was located at the scene of the death, etc.
Thank you.
All right. Was the state police did you speak? were you at the subcommittee?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Marisa Porto, and I'm the publisher of the Daily Press Media Group and a citizen member of the FOIA Council. I was the lone member of the FOIA Council that voted in favor of this bill, and that's why I'm speaking. First, I'm going to put on my publisher's hat and say, and also my journalist hat, and say that I work in a number of different states, and while I realize that some folks don't like to hear this, this is actually information that you can get in other states. And it did.
All in favor? Before you vote. The bill is reported 15-0. All right, is there a